What is going on, everybody? Your boy Seth here from Carpool Gaming. I am joined by two other members of the CPG family. I have got the doctor of Carpool Gaming and one of the co-hosts of the RPG Cave, Dr. Garret Bland. What's going on, Garret?
Oh, hey. I'm doing good. Just chilling. Ready to talk about some Mario plus Rabbids.
Yes.
I'm super down.
Yes, we were gathered here today to talk Mario Rabbids, and I have with me, as always, my co-host on the Nintendo Drive, the one and only, Sean Capri. What's up, dude?
Hi, I find myself a little surprised that the sequel wasn't Mario multiplied by Rabbids. We're still in the addition spectrum of mathematics here, Garret Bland, but I'm here to talk about it. Thank you both for your patience. You waited for me to finish this game, and I'm excited to talk about it, my friends.
That is true. We were waiting
Y'all
patiently.
been done for like 2 months.
Yeah. Garret and I have actually forgotten. We had to replay. We had to jump on Sean's stream to remind ourselves what it felt like.
You know,
Yeah.
Garret jumped on the stream and he's like, listen, you need like 3 tips just to speed this along already. All right, you've taken long enough. Just finish this game.
This is for my own benefit, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
No
I'm looking forward to it, to chatting with this about this game with you guys. And y'all know, I did the review here. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, I did do a review on the YouTube channel. I'll make sure to link to that. Hi, YouTube, so you guys can check that out if you haven't already. I really want to give you guys the floor because, it wasn't just me here in Carpool that played Mario Rabbids, and we do a Nintendo podcast, we do an RPG podcast. It only makes sense for those forces to combine and chat about a Nintendo strategy RPG such as this. Sean, you and I were talking about this on the Nintendo Drive. Like, I feel like this is one of the sleeper hits of the year. Everybody totally sleeps on this game. Everybody, like, I'm going to wait for it to go on sale. It's an Ubisoft game. It's going to go on sale. And I'm like, y'all don't understand. Sale. Y'all don't understand. This is legit, like, one of my favorite games of the year. Straight up.
So I'm going to say the word accessible, but not necessarily in the way that a lot of people kind of mean it these days. Like, it's approachable, I guess, is maybe a better way to say it. You know, it's a turn-based strategy game that has a certain that term and that genre has a certain connotation to it, even based on the first game. It seems like you have to be a certain type of gamer to appreciate this, to be able to play it, to handle the tactical nature of it and the difficulty spikes that can happen. But this is not that. This is a Mario game. It's a Mario plus Rabbids. And I just felt like it was really interesting overall how exactly the same, but completely different from the first game it was. And going into it, I adored the first game, but I did find that the difficulty spiked really hard, like throughout that game. About the midpoint, I felt like it really got pretty difficult in its traditional grid-based style. This one opens things up quite a bit. I think it's quite a bit easier. There's a few things I would say missing that I wish were there, but overall, I think more people can actually approach this and play it. And I was appreciating that, especially as I was trying to finish. I'm like, thank you for not locking this thing down and keeping me out and be like, let me in. I just want to finish this game. Like, yeah. So I liked it though. I'm with you. And I played the game. I just finished it. And you and I were talking about the year of Nintendo and it slipped my mind. Like, what is with that? I don't know. I don't know what exactly that is. Maybe the story, maybe like the going-ons of the game itself that is probably one of the weakest parts, if I can say that. Like, I think the gameplay is great, but what happens in the game, I'm like, I just don't know. It's not like
it's a lot of fluff.
Yeah, it serves to have you go from one mission to the next.
Right.
Yeah. So I definitely agree with you, Sean. It is the most accessible not traditional, but strategy RPG for sure. Compared to the first game, back in 2017, I think you guys know too, major surprise with Mario plus Rabbids, the first game. We just did not know that they had this in them, that genre, and having Mario in there with guns, it was like, oh, this is kind of a super weird moment. And then it became a sleeper hit. I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was pretty accessible, but you're right, Sean, it had a big spike in the middle. I kept losing these levels, but in this sequel, I think, I agree with you. Most accessible, frees up without the grid-based stuff. It's all free roaming. I thought the addition of the stars, I forgot what they called.
Sparks.
Sparks. That's it.
Of hope.
Adds another layer. a complexity behind this, but also it just makes you feel more powerful and more variety of combinations you could do. I think there's a lot more ways to beat a level
Definitely
in this game compared to the first one.
Yeah, I mean, even there's so many, it's funny because it's very easy to get into, but there are different layers that make it complex. So I think it scratches that itch for the people who are looking for that sort of thing. But if you don't want any part of that, you can probably still make your way through this game fairly easily. But for probably the first time in a long time, Garret, you and I touched on this back in our Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition chat, where I didn't change my party like at all. And Garrett's like, I beat the game with like this to me completely crazy and experimental kind of party system. And I for the first time in a long time in one of these games, I mixed up my party all the time. I was like, I think a mainstay for me personally was Rabid Mario as the brawler. Like he was able to like take care of a lot of like he did a lot of crowd control, which was really great. It seemed like OP to me. Luigi was a mainstay as well, of course, with his sniping ability
Steely
and
Days
his
or whatever.
And what's it called in XCOM? It's like kind of Overwatch. Is that what it is? When they you're on defense, you're watching anybody moves and they get shot, and you can level that up to 3 times. It's a great ability, and even like any movement, whether they move on their own or you tackle them and they fly up into the sky and you shoot them, or you cause an enemy to move by attacking them. It's really like all those things. That's great. That's great tactical strategy game stuff. That's that we should be looking for, but totally easy to wrap your head around because it's Mario and it's cutesy and it's Rabbids. Like what an impossible balance that they got here. And I felt like they really nailed it.
You know, initially when I got into this game, I was kind of lukewarm, to be honest with you, because I think I was so fixated on what Mario plus Rabbids, the first game was. It was very linear, very kind of stringent, had less combinations or whatever, but overall very similar gameplay style. The only real difference was the lack of grid now. It's just an open area, which I do enjoy a lot more. But I think as I go on with this game, I've grown to like it more because of the sparks, I think. And then more because of the worlds that I got into in each individual one. I kind of like warm myself to it. So I think, you know, the open worldness of this game is very different as well, where the first Mario plus Rabbids is like very linear. Like you're just going from point A to point B, like a Mario game.
You might find a couple coins here and there. It might be like, ooh, a little secret spot here. That's neat. But you're right. That was it.
Mario Galaxy style here, which is awesome.
Well, and it's interesting. I think it's interesting that you bring up the sparks and the open world in together, because I think that they're totally interconnected in that the more you explore the open world, which is a blast to explore, you know, in addition to the main mechanic of the game, like the turn-based stuff being great, I felt like I was really encouraged to explore the world because there's awesome sparks to discover. And everywhere. if you dedicate your time to wandering around and doing all, like basically clearing the maps Ubisoft style, then you're going to get different types of sparks. And for me, and just to, you know, kind of skip to the end for me a little bit here, I finished the game basically to roll credits so that we could do this. And I'm like, I couldn't stop playing. And that's when I think it was Seth who said, wow, you're really missing a couple like cool sparks. And that's when I went to the open world and solved a couple extra quests and extra missions and things like that, and started discovering the different types of sparks that were there. I got like the vampire one where you steal their health.
My favorite.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's excellent. And up until that point, really, like for the most part, my sparks were kind of carbon copies of each other. You would either charge your slides to have like spark attack, or every gun would have splash damage or gust damage, things like that. So I was starting to feel like the sparks were okay, but for the most part, you're just, and there to tackle whatever enemies were weak against. And that was it. But it's those other kind of ancillary sparks that I thought really added the color to this. And I want to say that because I want to encourage people to not do what I did. Discover those on the way to the end, because they make the journey so much more interesting while you're exploring the world, which is great to explore anyways.
Yeah. That must be intentional, right? Like to kind of give you these kind of almost like elemental based sparks on the critical path. But if you just veer off, if you spend a little time, you get these really cool, really unique sparks.
Totally genius, man. Definitely. Yeah.
Some of them summon certain enemies
so
or soldiers for you that you can pull off to the side. I maxed out the big guy on the Spark, and man, he was such a tank at those later levels. It really saved my butt on some critical missions. So yeah,
and it adds the variety. Like if you're ever feeling, and I don't think that I realized that. I wish maybe I would have heard myself do this review ahead of time, travel back in time to play it. But like if you're ever thinking, man, this is kind of monotonous, it's because you haven't really explored. You haven't done kind of the homework, I guess, to add the variety. That it's definitely there. But Garret, you touched on something a little while ago. The differences between this game and the first game are pretty significant in a couple of areas. Yeah. And the things that I missed, probably the first one I want to talk about is there's no scoring system. There's no level grade.
That's a weird one.
Right? Like where you could, they challenge you in the first game to finish within a certain number of turns, or there's a variety of different challenges like that. And you get like a letter grade, like in school kind of thing. And it's completely gone. Yeah. And I don't even know if it was replaced by anything. Maybe there was, if you kill like a number of enemies at once with like a bomb or something, or some sort of power up, you get extra sparks or extra. They're not sparks.
The
stars. I know what you're talking
about. Starbits. Thank you. You get maybe more of those, and that was kind of it, to get a little reward for doing a great job. And I'm curious because Garret, you're great at these games. Like, I was just happy to beat the level for the most part. Yeah. And in some cases, I can be very discouraged in a game like Devil May Cry or something, where it's like or I was just playing Sonic Frontiers a second ago, and I'm like, I'm not getting S tier. This game sucks. I wonder if that was part of it, and how you feel about the lack of a tiering or a class, a grading system at the end of each mission.
Yeah, that was a big missing feature. I'm glad you mentioned something about it, because like if this did have a grading system, and it's easier, I think it's easier than the first game, I would definitely like go back and
keep playing,
try to get these S ranks at least on some of them to see if I can actually get them. I wonder why they kept them out. I think it's mainly because initial game design decision, and they're really, like, you can tell they really want to make sure it's for the general Nintendo audience. Like, if you like Mario games, then try out this Mario plus Rabbids.
Here's a game that has nothing to do with Mario, really, like other than he's there. But you're right, totally. Very much for that audience, which I wonder if they must have some sort of data that showed people are either dropping off or it didn't really hit that target audience for them. But do you think like did that turn people off, I guess, is just that tier, that grading system?
I'm just wondering if it's like a little bit less rewarding to the player if they got a lower tier rank. Like, imagine someone that's very novice to this gameplay and they're trying to go through it and they get a D rank and they pass. And they're like, well, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll just go on to the next level. So I can understand from like novice players, like not really caring about this, but like, I think I always like options. Like if you put that option in there, that would be kind of cool. Like a hardcore mode. Of some kind, or whatever there is, that would have been cooler. Some sort of difficulty slider or anything like that, because I think I felt a little too powerful in certain missions.
Yeah.
I never felt I was stuck. I never felt there wasn't a way out. Whereas the first game, there were plenty of times where I was just like, well, this kind of sucks.
Restart the mission.
Yeah. I think I restarted a mission once in this game.
Well, I was streaming at the very end of the game. I can't remember, Garret, if you had shown up just yet, but Seth was definitely there, and I used Revive for the first time. I think it was the final mission. I didn't even have a character die the whole time. Like it was that level. Like, yeah. Or even if a character did die, I would just carry on, and it didn't really matter. I could finish the mission even still. Yeah. So I wonder if that's something that's coming in DLC. Like we've got a bit of a roadmap. We kind of know things are coming, but I don't know if that's something that would kind of like a new game plus. Like we do get that from time to time. We do get these things added afterwards. And I don't know how people would respond to it. Personally, I think that would be great because I do feel like it's missing. I also wonder if, because there's so much variety, can you still control for that sort of thing with the very specific set of criteria to finish a mission in? Yeah. Like, can you still... Because sometimes, like, I would finish a mission with one turn.
Just a turn order thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking
just,
that.
Like, set a turn order as a par, and then, like, if you have more turns in that game, it'll be less rank.
That's exactly what I was thinking. When you guys were saying that, I was like, it'd be so cool if we had like optional objectives. Finish this inside of X amount of turns. Finish this only killing X amount of enemies, or whatever. Finish this with no sparks. You know, something that'd be pretty neat. That
would be cool.
Yeah, have your cake and eat it too. You know,
if only Nintendo had like an achievement system or something that wouldn't even have to be built into this game.
My gosh,
you could have like a speed run of the thing. You could beat the game with
Sean, it has
level
Ubisoft
10
achievements.
You got those Ubisoft points.
Good point. And I'm going to use those Ubisoft points from like The Division or something like that somewhere else. And I don't know, put my Just Dance
Watch Dogs
dancers
2.
and I don't know. That's a great game, by the way.
It is a great game.
It's awesome. The other thing that I wanted to chat about too is, sorry, Seth, I feel like I'm just kind of like, get out of here. I want to ask a question.
Look, for sure.
The other thing that's not in here, and I feel like there is a couple trade-offs, is in the first game, you would upgrade your weapons. This time you can swap out for different skins. Like they look different depending on the kind of like per planet currency that you would get. Almost like Mario Odyssey, actually, where you would show up to a little store and get little outfit and things like that. That's basically the customization that's available in the weapons. What did you think? What did you guys think about that? Like that you don't upgrade your weapon strength. You're kind of doing other things.
I have a general thought in terms of just weapons in general for RPGs. If you are not deep enough, then don't even bother. Like, if it's just to go to the next level of weapons and they're the same weapon, like in different skin, but the same weapon, just a little bit more powerful, then don't even bother. This is totally fine. Just have the skins.
Interesting.
I'm accepting that. Now, if you want to add a level of depth, let's say that Luigi can pick from 3 different snipers, or let's say a sniper, a crossbow, and whatever. Just like different types of weapons. Then I'm down for weapon variety and leveling up those weapons and stuff like that. But if like, I think in this game, it was fine to not have those weapon specific stats, just because I think the sparks and the characters added enough variety. And again, for the novice player, I think that would just add another layer of complexity for them to mess around with. And I don't know if they would be able to get over that hump if it's really complex. So that's what
another thing to grind towards, really, which I never felt like I really had to do here, like grind the levels up or anything like that.
No,
so
not at all.
You can just kind of keep playing.
You're going to hit level cap probably by the end. Like, it's not a big deal. You know, you don't really have to grind. You know, it's, you brought this up a couple of times, Garrett, and I think you're dead on. Like, basically every minor complaint that I have with this game, or any like sort of misgiving I have, is it feels like was because of a change made in the service of accessibility. In the like something like, I wish I had, you know, more like hardcore stuff. I wish I was able to swap weapons and have all this different stuff. If I had like upgradable weapons and different skill trees and, you know, optional objectives and ranks and stuff, like this would be great. But I also, to your point, I do sort of understand their issue here, where they do want it to be like my nephews should be able to pick it up and play it, and it should be like a Mario game. So like, it really is an impossible thing to balance. And even story stuff, like I wish there was more story stuff, but they didn't want to get bogged down in that either, because the little kids got to understand this, you know? So,
well,
you're basically taking down what's that?
What do you think about the rabbit characters? Those are a little new this game.
The ones that join you. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I thought they were great, actually. Like I came, even in the first game, predisposed to really not like it. Like I shouldn't like it at all.
Same.
And I don't think that they take away from it at all, other than this game really just leaning into that world more than Mario. Like I feel like the first game was, you were in the Mushroom Kingdom, really. You were wandering around,
Kingdom, literally. Yeah,
you're often like, who the heck even knows where we are? Some of these planets, like it's definitely not Mario Land. And I guess from a certain perspective, I was a little disappointed, because I really thought we were going to get a huge amount of like Mario Galaxy injected in here, and it's there, but not in the way that I kind of expected, I guess. So the setting and the premise is like, that's where we're starting to talk about things that are a little lacking. But every choice, I feel like every time they take something away, it's like it doesn't take away from the pure enjoyment of it.
Right.
And that just shows, I think, a great vision for the game and the execution, because these are choices that must have been very challenging to make. It must have been very difficult to go, yeah, not that, take that away. The game that we just released that a lot of people really liked and a lot of people played, we're going to change a lot of it. How hard is that, man? I think that's really, really difficult to do.
It's the reason it took 5 years to come out, right? I mean,
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean,
they took their time with it.
Very well considered game. Yeah, like it really does feel like a give and take in like every single, because they could have, right? They could have made this the most hardcore, nerdy strategy RPG they wanted to. But I wonder if that's, that's how you get Nintendo on board with something like this. It's got to be fun for everybody,
I do have some complaints.
Yeah,
sure.
Right. Yeah, I got some complaints about this game. I think
you ready?
one of the big things when I was getting into the game, why I was a little lukewarm on it, it was the open world hub was fine, but I think we mentioned this before. It has some fluff to it. It has some serious fluff to it. You have to go to this quest. All right, let's defeat some enemies. Okay, I guess I'll have to go into like these not random encounters, but you go into an enemy fight and you have to do that 3 times, 4 times. Great, you get a lot specifically. Yeah. You get a coin specifically for that planet. You got to get 11 coins to unlock the secret door. They'll give you that secret spark. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay, how many do we have? And then you press the map and I'm like, that is a Ubisoft map if I've ever seen one.
1,000%.
Big time.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, they so Ubisoftify this game. Like, I think someone just came into that company and was like, all right, guys, we're going to make this the Ubisoft brand here. And this is how you do it. This is the
Miyamoto isn't looking anymore. Let's do it our way.
Quick, while he's not
busy
looking,
with the movie.
Make it a Ubisoft game.
Yeah, get the map. Get the map tool out here.
Pretty. I'm sure it works. And that's why they keep doing it into all of their games. And some sort of like completionist mindset in their head, get that constant reward, get that with that blend of that open worldness, and that's why they're doing it. But man, oh man, I think one of the few things I liked about the first, or not many things I liked the first game is the linear like setting. I think it was cool to just walk around. It's like, oh cool, there's a puzzle right there. Let me just do this puzzle, and it's just like one thing at a time. Whereas I see a map and I see like 50 coins in there, I'm like, how do I get there? What do I do? Yeah, it was kind of hard to navigate around a map sometimes.
Yep, I'll give you that for sure.
At least
I'm
for the
torn
first
on
couple.
it. I'm definitely torn on this because, again, when I finished the game and I went back to those maps, I'm like, there's more game to play. Like instantly, like replay. It wasn't necessarily replay value, but it was like additional, and that's Ubisoft. Like you can call it either fluff or just additional game hours with it. I am torn on it because I don't know that I'll finish it, but I did roll credits and I got a pretty good percentage. I think I'm sitting somewhere around like 75%.
That's pretty good
of all the things. And that's way more than when I rolled credits. You guys would have seen, it would have been mostly 60% across all those worlds. And it's a predictable model. But the world, I enjoyed running around this world way more than the first one. And that's such a huge part of the overall experience that I feel like that's contributing to my overall just positivity about this game. But it is a repetitive thing. And these are video games, and the word repetitive is hard to kind of level our measurement and evaluation of the game, because every game has repetitive things. Even you're in a turn-based thing, that's repetitive. But yeah, would I have liked to see a little bit more variety of like, then I've got a problem. There's all these guys around. Can you go take care of 3 of them? That would be great. And there's multiple of those per world, and you kind of do a rinse and repeat after a while. At the same time, in my dumb mind, I'm like, I know exactly what to do, and that feels great. And I can throw on a podcast or throw on something else or watch a movie on the other or somewhere else. Like I can do that sort of thing, and I don't have to always be learning something. 20 hours in, I'm not doing another tutorial at that point. So there's a pro and con for sure, but there's no denying this is a Ubisoft game, probably 10 times more than the first game. I think everybody knows what that sort of thing means. Yeah.
I mean,
what about you, Seth? What didn't you like about it?
Yeah, I mean, you either like that Ubisoftification or not. Personally, I enjoyed it. I'm kind of with you, Sean. Like, I kind of like turning my brain off and sort of just like exploring stuff, getting coins, like, hey, here's this, idiot rabbit DJ guy or whatever that wants me to throw the cheaps into the pond or whatever. Like, I like that.
You
like,
picked her. Yeah.
I'm just sitting there with a big stupid smile, like, yeah, I like this. I personally like the layout, and some of them do get annoying, like, especially when you get to some of the later planets. Some of those get really complicated and annoying to navigate. Yeah. Like, I'm thinking of that like flower planet with all the like thorn like the vine like bridges. Yeah. It gets like ridiculous, man. But like overall, I enjoy that approach to it more personally than the linear one. Something that you mentioned earlier, Sean, that I wanted to circle back to, because I completely agree, and I actually wish that I had mentioned it in my review, because you're right. I do wish that this was more of a Mario game, because in the first game, you got like the piranha plant, like kind of Rabbids, and you got like Bowario and Bowaluigi and stuff like that. It's like I was totally missing that in this game. Even like even some of the personality with some of the characters, which we have the wardens in this one, and like they're fine, but there's nothing in this game for me anyway that lived up to, say, like the moment with the Phantom of the Opera Rabbid in the first one.
Exactly.
Like there's nothing like that in this game. That's a good
one.
It
was kind of boring characters here. I was blazing through text. I'm like,
same.
I do not care what you're saying right now. Pretty much. So that's really where my biggest and harshest criticisms of this game come in, is that it is a Mario game, and wow, I just don't care what happened. Like the whole time. I think the big bad is real dumb, and I think there is a twist involved, and I think it's predictable and uninteresting. And that is really too bad, because so much of this game is so quality, and I feel bad even saying it, but it's I can't not say it. Like it's completely forgettable. I can't really tell you what any of the like bosses are. Like it just, and I just played it. And I think it goes back to the earlier point when we look back on the year 2022 and try to remember what were some of the great hits that came to Nintendo Switch this year. This should be one of them, but there's nothing about the experience other than the gameplay. There's nothing about the storytelling. Like there's no heart to it, and I don't know if I'm just like, I'm not usually the one who turns on a game wanting for it to like make me feel something, but I appreciate it when it does, and this totally misses that. So that's a big downer for me, I think. It was just adequate, I think. Like, okay, we're just going to go through this. Cool gameplay, though. What did you guys think about the skill systems on the characters themselves?
I like
I think hit and miss. I think hit and miss on that one, actually. Yeah. Some were great, and I'm like, I can't decide where I got to really be careful with these. And also, again, approachability. You can choose to use your currency on your skill trees, and then you can just very easily take those points away and put them somewhere else. There's no cost to it. Yep. There's no permanence to your skill tree. There's no nothing like that. And you can just do whatever you want.
That's been a more common thing, I think, with certain RPGs where it's like, you could just reskill. It doesn't matter.
Totally.
I totally went through the game auto assign.
Oh, really?
Wow.
I just did not care too much where the skills went. I was like, I know I'm going to get a skill eventually. Well, let me just auto assign this and see where it lands. And then I had a pretty good time. I actually, when I was getting into a level, I was like, oh, he has an extra dash. I didn't realize that. And so, I got some extra things there. I'm like, maybe I should have paid attention a little bit more here, but it's whatever. It was cool to have that mystery kind of revealed to me when I was playing through the level. So yeah, skill systems was just fine. A lot of similar things across. That's totally what kind of. I wish Mario and Luigi had a different like side skill. They were both just the Overwatch.
Yeah,
thing.
Right.
I'm like, maybe add a little, just one different skill other than that. And also, I think Mario Rabbid had that too, right?
Like a counter
kind
attack.
of, yeah. It was a counter. It wasn't a move based thing. It was if you got a
that was a very repetitive type of deal. Was this? And the big blade rabbit.
Edge
person. I forgot
the Edge. Yeah,
Edge. Yeah, same thing. I'm like, I'm getting kind of tired of this counter attack stuff. I literally because of that, I did not use those characters that much because I would rather play other ones that had these kind of different skills. So, anyways.
Now I'm with you. I think that's basically exactly how I chose my characters was the skill tree, actually. It's funny, and man, I don't know. Again, we were chatting earlier, like, are there spoilers for this? Like for the characters who can join? There's one large character who joins. It's so stupid. So if you don't want to know who joins your party, like skip ahead just a quick second.
Yeah.
But Bowser joins, and my kids were like, "Why is Bowser on your team?" You know, is it? I don't know. Is it on the marketing stuff? Okay, I just want to make sure
they were showing gameplay. Of
it blew my kids' minds, man. They were like, "What is happening? This is crazy talk." But he was definitely there to add a little variety, and I like Princess Peach. Anytime they could have you had an enemy who could, a character who could take out at least one enemy at a time. I felt like that was great. So Mario Rabbid or Rabbid Mario could do it, and Princess Peach with her parasol, whatever is her umbrella,
like shotgun
the umbrella.
I thought that was great, and that's just it. The shotgun sound of it was so satisfying. It's just like this. She's just like Princess Peach, and then this awesome sound effect. It was so intense.
Damage.
Oh yeah, blast away all the cover as well. So I generally used it for that. Actually, if I was frustrated, everybody's hiding behind some cover. I would bust out Princess Peach and just like
bye
do that. It was
I love that.
It was really good. Stuff.
The gameplay is
other skills. Bowser's little mini kind of robot.
The
things.
Mecha Koopas.
The Mecha Koopas. I was super down with. So I had Bowser on my team for a while. I loved Rabbid Rosalina's deadlock skill.
Yes,
that totally saved me on the last level. I'm like. Okay, everyone's here. Within my radius, 6 enemies. You are not doing anything for 3 turns. And I'm like, this is so awesome.
So fun.
Yeah, it's a great party system, great characters to choose from. And the other thing, too, about the kind of going back to the map just for a quick second is every now and then you get a mission that forced you to use either a pair or a threesome that you weren't actually able to adjust at all. And I thought that was one of the smarter things, and maybe you could have seen that maybe a little more just to force you to try different combinations and stuff. Totally.
I love that.
Because otherwise you're just going to have like Mario sitting there with all the skill points because you just don't care. Like I barely use Mario unless I really had to. But I like that quite a bit because it made you do something that you might have otherwise skipped the entire time. And then you discover, oh snap, like I really like Rosalina's, like just her basic attack is awesome. And I don't know if I had some sort of weird skill tree thing that I've completely forgotten about, but it seemed like she hit a critical hit every time.
Yeah.
For me, like, was that just that's her deal? Like that was,
she crits a lot.
I think so.
That's
she's great.
It's like this pull string toy. It's like, brrr, like it's awesome.
And she would even make that sound effect like
It's so good, man. I really like those missions because you're right. Had those not been in there, my party would have totally stagnated. I would have just used the same. Because another thing that if you're kind of like critical pathing this game, then you can get through it like pretty quickly, but like it's all the extra stuff that is going to tack on time. And for people the average player, I assume, who will just kind of blaze through the game, like it could be really easy to just like use the same party almost the entire way through, come into a fight like that, where you're forced to use somebody you don't normally use. They have no sparks, no skills, So I do like that they had those missions in there. That was really a nice touch.
There were certain missions where I was like, that character would be good for this mission.
Yes.
Like sometimes missions would be like a super long field. It's like, okay, I need a couple of characters that can snipe way out, like Luigi or something like that. Or if there's something super short and there's a lot of enemies, they're like, okay, I need big damage, like Mario Rabbids or Rabbid Mario and stuff like that. There was one boss mission where, you kind of have to like defeat multiple eyes like around a pole.
Right.
I remember it well.
And I'm like,
Wiggler?
Rabbid,
around I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
Yeah, around the little pole thing.
It's like a mountain thing.
Rabbid Luigi. Yeah. A Rabbid Luigi was a good one because he was able to hit 3 at a time, and it didn't need to be a line of sight too, because his frisbee kind of connects everywhere. I thought that was kind of neat. So yeah, they did lend themselves pretty well with the level crafting in this. I did not particularly care for the enemies chasing you in the open world. It was a little too much. It was
Yeah,
a little
I agree.
annoying.
Yeah. Dude, I forgot there was even a sprint button until you reminded me at the end. You're like, you can like run faster. Oh my gosh!
Like, oh right.
Yeah, made those green coin challenges quite a bit easier to start cleaning up afterwards. Because oh man, that was a little embarrassing.
Pretty much.
Just goes to show you shouldn't start to play a game and then stop for a little while and then get back to it because you've forgotten all the tips,
everything.
all the I didn't even know there was a sprint button, man. Probably contributed to how long I was playing the game. I'm just walking around, just seeing what's going on here.
Just tack 2 walking hours onto that. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah,
yeah. Oh man, but for me, like, it really does all come down to that gameplay, because I can have my like complaints as much as I want with like, because I don't disagree with anything you guys are saying, but like. And I have, again, I have my little nitpicks and stuff, and there's things I wish they would do, but I'm also just sort of like, I had so much fun with the combat. Like, it's so enjoyable to me just engaging with the combat. Like, it's so freeform. Something we haven't talked about yet is the amount of movement options that you have now, like, in combat.
That's true.
You've always been able to like kind of do those things individually, like jump on the platforms and use the little rabbit warp pipes and stuff. But being able to do all of that in just a single turn, like the amount of distance you can get, the strategic like repositioning that you can do is insane. And like, just chef's kiss. So good.
Very free, and really the only thing that locks you in, unless Rabbid Mario, I think, might have been the only character that could do this. He had an ability where you can attack and then move, which was great because he was such a close combat character.
Yeah.
It would be great to get your punch in and then go run away. That was awesome. But for the most part, you were pretty much locked in as soon as you fired your main gun. So you could use your spark, you could use an item or whatever, and that would take up your action points, like that would determine how many more movesets you would have. But yeah, once you fired, you were stuck. But other than that, up until that point, you could do whatever you wanted. You could dash up to like 3 enemies at a time, which was also very satisfying. You're like, I lined them up just perfect. Those Goombas got what was coming to them. I loved every time I either picked up the Goombas with like the pots on their heads or a Babam. Picking those up and yeeting them across the map was the greatest. Like there's ones like that's exactly what you have to do. You pick them up and you throw them over the edge, and that's awesome. Like I just wish I could do it to a penguin, little baby penguin, like a Mario 64. There is a penguin. You have to collect a couple penguins at some point, but like there's a lot to do, and it's surprising because you think you know exactly what you're getting into with a turn-based strategy game. You think it's going to be the same, but I'd love to see like us to play it separately, record like one, I don't know, mission or thing, like, and then compare.
See what we do.
What did Garret do? What did I do? What did Seth do? I think that'd be fascinating to watch.
When you were streaming,
different thing.
Totally. When you were streaming the final encounter and Garret came in with like the strategy, you need to jump on this thing. I'm like, I didn't do that. I just like brute forced my way through it. And that was amazing to me. Like I thought that was like really cool. I love stuff like that, man. There's a lot.
There were a couple of missions where, like, as you said, Seth, there's a lot of versatility with these characters. Like, you can go super far around. I remember this one mission, it felt super tight. Like, I was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to get this. These snipers are really getting me. And, the ice monsters kind of like stagnate you on certain areas to make you open. It's like, I don't know about this. And then it's just a matter of just one person. It's like, okay, he can go here, jump here, heal there, and then okay, he's all the way on the other side, ready to snipe. It's like it's kind of cool that the game kind of lets you turn the tides, like in an almost an instant, if you really want to get out of the way or something like that. And I do like the items as well. I think they were helpful when you really needed it most. It's like, okay, I'm a little bit low on damage right now. Okay, I'm glad I have some items to help me up. So I think that was a good call to have these items and make it not too, like, you can probably get a lot of items throughout the game. Like
by the end,
very charitable, So
yeah, with the I'm always pretty frugal with my currency. Like I don't want to spend it all, and then by the time I realize I'm at the end and I can basically buy whatever I want. And at that point, that's where I let my healer kind of take a time out. And so Rabbid Peach, she could just kind of stay off to the side, and I would get out full guns blazing. All 3 characters are our offensive characters, and I would just heal up as needed because I had all the items I would ever need for that. So yeah, man, very cool. And what you're talking about before, Garret, like the notion of turning the tides and all based in movement, and even though it's very open and freeing, in order for you to really do that, you still have to be tactical, and it all seems like you're doing it on a razor's edge. Like you really have to get like this character lined up just with enough space next to the next one so they could jump off of them, so that you would just make it to the springboard or trampoline or whatever, so they could jump just close enough to the tubes, to the pipes and everything, so you could get a little further than that. And that, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you design for it, from the attributes of the characters to how far can they go to the size of the maps and everything. Just so meticulous in the design that I have to appreciate that, because it's all through the lens of a very colorful and friendly, I don't know, like you almost want to say kids game.
Ubisoft.
But it's Ubisoft, but it's all here. Like, again, impossible. I'm very positive on the game overall. But yeah, just kind of wish that there was something to tell people about that story. It's just
right.
It's just whatever.
It sounds like hyperbole. There's just nothing there, dude. There's really nothing there.
And I, like you were saying too, is like I didn't need this game to like make me cry. All right, but like there's kids shows. I think kids are a little bit more receptive to that than maybe Nintendo gives them credit for. I think, I look at things like Adventure Time, Steven Universe, whatever, that tackle like kind of more mature, themes that kids still can resonate with, they're Over the Garden Wall. Like there are shows like this that can kind of like find that balance. I was kind of just looking for a little bit of that, and I never really got it. You learn a little bit about the backstory of the wardens, like those little portraits you can find, and there's like a little bit of that. You kind of got to dig for it, and even then, it's just kind of with the annoying Beepo voiceover, like, talking the whole time. Oh, that did not so like Beepo's voice.
I was like, yeah. I actually, I put this game a lot on mute. It was a podcast game for me.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. It was
Netflix you missed out on the music. The music was pretty good.
Actually, I did. I listened to some music. It's pretty good. Yeah. Very orchestral. Very
Seth,
nice.
didn't you say there's like multiple composers on this?
Yeah. It was. Cool. I actually had kind of I didn't realize it, but it was kind of a hot take, I guess, on the soundtrack. I thought it was good. It has legendary composers. So Gareth Coker, who did the Ori games. Grant Kirkhope, of course, who composed the first one, but he's Banjo-Kazooie and, all this stuff. And then Yoko Shimomura, who's Kingdom Hearts, Live Alive, Street Fighter,
What a mix.
Like, just incredible. And they all came in and they did, their tracks, but it all feels very, like, disjointed to me. Like, there are moments where I'm listening to a Yoko Shimomura track, like, in a battle, and it just sounds like Kingdom Hearts. Like, it literally sounds like Kingdom Hearts. So I kind of wish it like felt more cohesive, but again, it's such I almost, like you said earlier, I almost feel bad complaining about it. Like,
you kind of feel like you almost have to, otherwise we're just going to be like so over the top positive, because it's such a fun game and totally like, just again, overall, I think people should play this, and I think they should play it in a way that explores what it has to offer and be open to all of that kind of stuff. But you have to be well-rounded. At least I feel like we do. Like, we have to be well-rounded in our considerations for this. And the other thing, like, we could have probably had this conversation a month ago or whatever, when I felt like I had played enough. But I'm pretty stringent about this sort of thing. Like, if I'm getting a review and I'm going to be on a review conversation, I want to speak to it from a position that I have completed the game, at least rolled credits, and then and like that's going to mean something different for so many different people. But like, I did roll credits. I feel like I've completed a very good portion of this game, and I think that's important because I have a balanced view of this game. I think if I was coming in right at, like, a lot of people who will review a game, you guys would be surprised. A lot of people will come in and go like, here's my full review. They played the game for like 3 hours,
right?
And I would have had a much different. I wouldn't have had a full appreciation for everything at stake here. I would have been way too heavy on denouncing the game for not having that grading system for each mission, because I missed it so much in the early stage. I learned to move on from it. So there's I think all of us are coming into this appreciating the full complexity and the full offering of Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which is great. The only other thing, very minor, and that's why it's at the end, performance-wise, sometimes, and probably more often than I feel like it should at this point, kind of choppy, especially
so
walking around
often.
this. I feel like it's kind of almost like half the time. And especially wandering around the world, like I felt like it was pretty.
Did you play a lot
rough.
on the monitor or portably or both?
Yeah, docked mostly. Yeah,
docked. Okay, portably is just fine.
That's
like,
I was going to say. That's a good point because
I didn't find as much graphically.
I played it like 90% handheld, so that's got to be a factor. Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh wow,
I think so.
Yeah, it's just the resolution it's pushing out. It's trying for 1080 on. I'm guessing. I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah,
fascinating.
It's the Switch. I kind of learned to forgive this game. So actually it's a positive for me. It's stable, compared to some other.
It's not Pokemon.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, well, and that's just it. Like,
yeah,
again, minor at the end of the review kind of a thing. But
yeah,
I think people should play it. They shouldn't sleep on it. They shouldn't just be waiting for it to be $15. That's
right.
Complete disservice to the quality of this game.
I don't really care when people are like, I'll just just say the statement. I'm just gonna wait on sale. Just wait on sale. And it's just like, guys, you can wait. Like, yeah, that's fine. Don't encourage someone that's wanting to get this.
Well said. Yeah, I wouldn't encourage one. I don't know. Like, by the way, thank you to Ubisoft Canada for my copy of the game. You guys, I think, both bought it actually. So that was also very important for us to clarify.
Yes, we should say that.
I played for free. So I also don't know how to exactly recommend how somebody else uses their money. But I do think
different.
that don't sleep on it, don't ignore it, don't expect it to be like $10, but
I already see it on sale, like here in the States. Question for you guys: DLC day one for you guys, season pass next year?
I get it, so that's part of the code I got.
You get it. Okay.
I will be playing it, so you can expect more coverage, at least from me, both on the Nintendo Drive, and I very likely will be streaming it. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope it's sooner rather than later. I don't remember if we've got an exact timeline for this, but I don't want to
next year.
I don't want to move on. Give it to me.
I don't want to go.
Nintendo.
Yeah. I wish it was snappier.
It's
I wish we were getting it sooner. Like the first drop, I think, is like next spring, right? And and even that is just like
it's
a
just
challenge tower. Yeah, battle mode.
Yeah.
And then we're getting, I think in the summer, we're getting like a story expansion, which looks like it's going to involve another Spark Hunter, which is kind of cool.
And another world.
Yeah, in another world, right? And then the final one next holiday is the Rayman one that it's going to be like the kind of like the DK adventure we got. I can't wait for that one either. But
guys, Donkey Kong DLC is so good.
It
really is. It really is.
I loved it.
That might be another thing to kind of tack on to the end here is the first game, while different, and we've explained exactly, I think, how different those two games are, very inexpensive to buy that first game and come to appreciate it and play that Donkey Kong. This is almost like a little bonus review for that. That game is excellent. That game is very good. So try it out. Very inexpensive to play. I'm reading on, this is on Polygon.com. The first game's DLC is the only one that has an official title, The Tower of Doom. Multiple O's. So I appreciate that. Early 2023 is all that it says here. So January, February, March, maybe. Stay tuned to Carpool Gaming for more.
Yeah. Yeah, to answer your question, I bought it too, so I'm going to be playing it. Because I do just want more. Like I just want more just in general. So I'm going to play whatever they put out. What about you, Garrett?
Season pass day one for me.
You're in.
The battle mode I'm not too excited about, but the new world and of course the Rayman DLC. Super down to play that. I wonder how the battle mode's going to be. I hope it's just challenging. I would like more of a challenge to these games, and a grading system would be nice.
That'd be good.
With that battle
maybe they
mode.
work it in with that. That'd be kind of sick. Yeah, and they've been
doing it with Far Cry 6, the classic rogue stuff, and hopefully they do more rogue type of like modes in here, because I think it hands well with the gameplay. You could just play this on hours on end. If you have just different levels, different generating by themselves, different rewards, I can see it being pretty addictive.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I think all three of us came away really enjoying the game overall. We have our misgivings, for sure, and there are things that we're more hardcore gamers, right? So of course we would love to see some more of these hardcore, hard capital G gamer editions worked in, maybe with the sequel. Who knows? But overall, it like that's the thing is like it's just fun. Like, it's just fun. Like, and that's kind of all a game needs to be sometimes. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, thank you guys for coming out and chatting about it with me. Garret, where can people find you online, my friend?
You can follow me on Twitter at Blind Explosion. You can also find me on the Nintendo Shack, part of the Play Some Video Games Podcast Network. We're live each and every Friday nights over at twitch.tv/PSVG, and we release on all the podcast services: YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to things. That's pretty much it.
Awesome. And the RPG Cave. You can find them on the RPG Cave.
You beat me to it. You beat me to it, dude. I was going to... Throw a little shade. Are you kidding me, dude? We've shot our own YouTube channel.
I have my spill every time with the Nintendo Shack. I completely go into zone mode, and I'm like, "You're totally right. This is." I do the RPG Cave as well with Ryan. Actually, I want to just nerd out right now. Ryan, I see him on the Discord. He's playing World of Warcraft.
Yes,
nerd. He's joining the Phoenix Overdrive guild and whatever random J.R.R. Tolkien server or whatever he's doing.
I love how the review just turned into roasting Ryan at the end. Sean, where can people find you?
Every review should end in a roasting of Ryan Turford. I love that guy so much. You can find me on a few podcasts: the Xbox Drive, the Nintendo Drive, of course, and We the GamerCast, where I have sweet hangs with strangers from the internet. It's all right here at youtube.com/Carpool Gaming. Find me on Twitter at Sean Capri. Of course, it's Sean like Connor, Capri like the pants. And when I'm not there, I'm probably sipping a Diet Coke at the McDonald's drive-thru. What's going on with me, man? That's it for me.
Dude.
Ubiquitous.
Yeah, dude. You can find me online on Twitter at $2 Hero. I'm also on the Nintendo Drive and doing all sorts of stuff here at Carpool Gaming as well. If you're watching us on YouTube, hey, like the video, please. We super appreciate that. Subscribe if you haven't already. There are links below to support us on Patreon and check out some awesome brand new merch that just launched, winter collection, limited time stuff, and much more content coming from each of us right here on Carpool Gaming. Until next time. Bye-bye.